Chapter 2.3 is going to get into not two-step equations, it's multi-step equations. And this is pretty much something else to kind of add on to it. Many times the key to understanding comes in having a proper perspective. So if you look at the list of topics that we've learned this year, combine like terms, where you take two terms, for example, two x's and put them together, or two constants and put them together. You have the distributive property, where you took the outside number and distributed it to the inside, the numbers inside the parentheses. We've done one-step equations, I think Monday or Tuesday this week, somewhere around the line. I think Wednesday. Two-step equations was yesterday's or last lesson. And again, those topics so far have been learned that you should have experience with. And if you can look at those that list of topics and recognize that you know everything on them, then today should be pretty easy. Again, if your answer is no, then your perspective is simple. So if you have no issues with anything on this list, then your perspective is extremely simple, which is to follow what you'll learn and you'll make it through this section just fine. The essential question for today is, what new information do I need to prepare for, to find order. Let me read that again. What new information do I need to prepare for in order to find success in today's lesson? And the answer to that is, there is no new information in this lesson. We are simply putting different ideas into one problem. There is a whole bunch of things that will simply be put together, or just more things that will be put together. The number one rule to solving is this: we cannot use opposite operations to manipulate numbers until both sides are simplified. Again, we cannot use any opposite operations. We cannot add 3 to both sides. We cannot multiply to both sides or divide to both sides until both sides are simplified. Today we are going to see problems that require a step of distributing and or combining like terms. Again, it will either be distributing only, combining only, or it'll be both. But once you safely simplify it, it will turn into a two-step or one-step problem, which should not be that bad. Examples here. We have 2x plus 5x minus 5. Again, if you look at this left side over here, what we notice is that we can put 2x and 5x together. That is the simplified part of it. And so what we're going to do is turn that into 7x minus 5 equals 23. Once you do that, you should be okay. We should recognize that the weaker number in here, from your muscle memory I hope, is 5. So we add 5 to both sides. We bring down 7x equals 28. We then divide by 7 on both sides, getting the answer of x equals 4. Notice, once we did the step from not being simplified to here, that this was exactly what we did in two-step equations. That is what I call home. Once I see 7x minus 5 equals 23, or anything like a two-step equation, I say that we're home then, and we should be able to find our way back. Same thing on this one. 21 equals 7x plus 6 minus 4x. Well, the thing is, the left side is simplified because it's just a constant, but the right side has a 7x and a negative 4x, which you can put together to make 21 equals 3x plus 6. Once again, once I get down to where we have a x, a constant, equals a number, I am home. I subtract 6 from both sides. I get 15 equals 3x. I divide by 3, getting the answer of 5 equals x, and that is where we are. Another type of problem you'll see. 3 parentheses 5x minus 2 equals 54. Once again, what you're looking at here is, the only thing I know to do here is to distribute. So I distribute 3 to 5x, which is 15x. 3 to negative 2, which is minus 6. Set that equal to 54. Notice now you have a basic two-step equation where we simply add 6 to both sides. 15x therefore equals 60. We divide by 15, getting the answer of x equals 4. This is the reason why I told you on yesterday's work that as long as you have last lesson's work, that as long as you have mastered one-step equations and then you transition that over to two-step equations, it's really not that bad. The only thing they do is they just keep taking more and more things to have you decode what's going on. But it's not that bad as long as you've asked all the questions you need to ask about what you're not understanding. And even if you're just not getting it, just come over and talk to me for a second so I can try to help you locate what it is. It's still not are not clicking for you. Negative 5 times r plus 6, same thing. Here, distribute the negative 5, we get negative 5r. Here we get negative 30 because that's a negative 5 times a positive 6 equals negative 74. Now we add 30 to both sides. That's interesting. And then you do negative 5r, comes down, negative 74 plus 30 is negative 44. Yep, I figured it'd be a fraction. And then what we want to do, if you remember the problem I told you about having a negative number attached to a variable, you could divide by negative 5, or you could do what I recommend, which is to switch the sides first and then divide by 5. But again, this is part of something that you've seen there. Interested to see if that actually works or if I messed up. Negative 5 minus 30. Let's see. Negative 5 parentheses 44 over 5 plus 6. Okay, it does work. We see that whenever you put in your 44 over 5, the way we've seen we could check our answers, we get the answer of negative 74, which is exactly what we're supposed to get. So it did work, and we have our answer verified. You can do that anytime you're solving, especially if you're not sure about your answer, kind of like I wasn't, and just plug it back in and see if it works like it's supposed to. Now this is kind of like a add-on to two-step equations, but it is about that time to do it because fractions give people issues. And the way you deal with fractions, anything that has a fraction in it, is you multiply by the least common denominator of whatever is on the bottom. Of course, we have a 19, 19, and 19, so what we're going to do is multiply every piece, every term or fraction by 19. And what happens is this 19 cancels that one, this 19 cancels that one, this 19 cancels that one, and what we have left is b minus 8b equals 28. Because again, that went away, this went away, and that went away. Now you go ahead and combine your like terms. B and negative 8b make negative 7b. Again, I have a negative 7. I am going to switch both sides around the way that I have tried to show you to do. Please make sure you start getting used to that because it's going to come in handy pretty soon. Divide by 7, and b is negative 4. It is not important right now because we're doing equal signs, but eventually you will have these symbols, and when you get to those symbols, you're going to want to do it this way. And so even if you don't do it all the time, just make sure you at least practice that skill so you're ready for it when it pops up. The second one, you have 8, 16, and 8 on the bottom, and again, the least common denominator for 8, 16, and 8 is 16. So we're going to do 16 here, 16 here, 16 here. And what happens is this. 16 of course cancels as 16 because 16 divided by 16 is 1, but 16 divided by 8 turns it into a 2, turns it into a 2, and now you have 2 times n, which is 2n, minus 7n equals 2. And so then you have 2n minus 7n, which is negative 5n, equaling 2. And once again, you go ahead and do your switching. So 5n equals negative 2, and then divide by 5 to get n equals negative 2/5. These answers are so ugly, I think I'm going to actually check it on this calculator just to show you and hope it's right. I hope I didn't mess up on video. So get a fraction, we put negative 2/5 on top. And this is what I actually like about this calculator, over 8 minus, and you might want to practice doing this because it is a skill that is important, 7 parentheses negative 2/5, or it's a way to make me look silly on camera, over 16 equals, there it is, there's your 1/8, and that's what it's supposed to equal, so it actually does work. But again, the bottom line here is you could do it that way, but for those of you who don't like that way, what you could do is simply take, and I'll just show you the main part of it real fast, because there's two ways to do this. We multiplied by 16 on all those. If you don't like the cancel method, then what you could do is simply do 16 times n over 8 minus whatever 16 times 7 is, which is 112, n over 8. equals 16 over 8 by multiplying everything there and then simplifying. 16 divided by 8 is 2. As you see, there's your 2n. 112 divided by 8 is 14, which is where we get minus 14 n. No, that's 16, I'm sorry. So 112 divided by 16, I think I'm just confusing you now. This is your 7, and then 16 divided by 8 is 2, and again you have a 2 here, you have a 7 in here, you have your 2 in there, so it wouldn't have mattered. You might want to bring that up if that pops up again, just so I can try to help fix whatever it was that I tried to help you with there that I might have just kind of confused you on. But we have another option here. 2 7s plus 7m over 2 equals 67 over 14. Again, we've got three fractions here with three different numbers. The easiest way to find the least common denominator of three numbers is to pick the bigger number first and ask yourself, does 7 go into 14? Yes. Does 2 go into 14? Yes. And of course 14 does. If it did not, the next number we would have chose was 28 and just kept going, but 14 works, so that's what we're going to use. And I'm going to go ahead and use the non-crossout method on this one here. So I'm going to take 14 times 2, which is 28 over 7, plus 14 times 7, which is 98, m over 2 equals whatever 67 times 14 is, which is 938 over 14. So again, in the last one I did, I kind of canceled them out going through, but this time I'm actually multiplying the top portions of what's going on. Now we simplify all the fractions. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 98 divided by 2 is 49m. And then 938 divided by 14 is 67. Now we have a two-step equation where we simply subtract 4. I'm pretty sure we're going to get another fraction here. 49m therefore equals 63, and then divide by 49. And m is, if you don't like the fraction, best thing to do is reduce it using the calculator. 63 over 49 is 9/7. And that would be it. And then you have a combination of distributive property and combined like terms, which is on the last example of your page. Here we are distributing the negative first because that's the only thing I know to do. So we bring down the 8n minus 4n minus 5 equals 3. But then you can put 8n and 4n together to get 4n minus 5 equals 3. You then of course do your two-step equation of adding 5 and dividing by 4 to get your answer. So again, final thought here is, don't let the complexity of the problem bother you. Simply remember that both sides must be written in simplified form, then solve the equation. That's the hard part about moving on, is that a lot of people just kind of randomly jump into the problem without a actual strategy. And so what you are adding to your strategy is look at the left side only, see if it's simplified, look at the right side only and see if it's simplified, and then try to solve. If you are jumping in trying to solve by moving things, by subtracting, adding, and all that to both sides, then you're going to really make the problem get very messy. So again, what you need to add to your understanding, which will actually help you out a lot, is that you must simplify the left side and simplify the right side before you do anything at all. Otherwise, it's going to be a very frustrating experience for you. But go ahead and go to your Math Excel and check out those questions, and good luck.